coming from the chat room. A lot of people who respect your work and all of your efforts over the years. One of the first pieces of content that I ever wrote was a critique of your critique of Barack Obama somewhere back around 2009.
He ain't know no better.
You picked up on it a lot quicker than most of America. Now, Marcus, we ain't gonna talk about the fact that you got your Barack Obama magazine underneath your pillow mattress at night. Now, let's
you gotta know your enemy.
Come on, you gotta. No, come on, bro.
I'm not writing book reviews over that Negro. Okay.
So we not gonna have a competition of who was woke on Barack Obama first, because we know it was Dr. Cornel West, right? We know it's Dr. West. But what I came to find out really quickly, almost as quickly as your critique of him when he appointed Timothy Geithner. Right, when he appointed Rahm Emanuel, you saw really on in the Obama administration the direction that he was going. Would you talk about the difficulty that you have faced over the years being one of the lone voices? A lot of people are catching up to you now, but you were one of the lone voices bringing a reasoned and rational critique of President Obama as he was president. And now that couldn't have been difficult as a black man speaking about the first black president.
No, it's true, because I mean, the first time I really even heard about Obama was when he gave this speech in Boston saying that America was a magical place. I said, he's going to have a Christopher Columbus experience. He's going to have a deep Christopher Columbus. He's going to discover America and recognize that, there's a rod at the center of it. There's an ugliness at the center of it. And there's some beautiful people in the country. But this notion of the magical president, I said, and also as a voluntary immigrant, or coming out of the experience of a voluntary immigrant, is very different for those of us who've been Jim Crow'd, enslaved, Jane Crow'd, lynched, and everything else. But it's just a matter of the truth. So then when I said that on television, he gave me a call. He said, well, why would you say that? I said it because I believe it, man. I ain't playing no games,
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, would you support me? I said, but I don't know your policy. So we talked for a number of hours. I said, what is your relation to the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and Fannie Lou Hamer? That was my question. And that had to do with poverty, militarism. That had to do with the deep racisms of various kinds, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia. And it had to do with materialism. Are you in it just for yourself? Are you willing to sell your soul for a mess of pottage and think that somehow you can conquer the world and lose your soul? I come out of the biblical tradition. I'm proud of that. That's who I am. Was another way of saying, are you willing to follow Jesus into the temple and run out the money changers, or do you want to be a money changer? I mean, that's the fundamental question. If you're gonna be on Pontius Pilate's payroll, then you ain't gonna be a follower.
Man,
out in Pharaoh's court, then you ain't gonna be with Moses. Don't call yourself Joshua. Joshua was a fighter. Joshua didn't get to the promised land all by himself or with a few partners. He brought the people with him.
Yeah.
See, that's our tradition. It seems to me at its best. So I was just telling him, I'm just one small moment in the tradition of a great people. Man, we ain't playing games. And so it was a rich dialogue. And I said, I'll be a critical Socratic supporter. And I did those 75 events with him. We coached him for dialogue. Charles Ogletree, who's one of the fundamental figures in his formation, not mentioned in the book. See, that's sad. See, when you reach that level of international status and you can't remember the people who actually push you through.
Well,
no, you remember Jeremiah Wright, who kept your marriage together. You remember Jeremiah Wright, who actually baptized your children, and then go and trash him and talking about he's a light-skinned black man looking for street credibility. Hey, man, sometimes the splinter in the eye, in your own eye, is the biggest magnifying glass.
Come on, man.
Yourself. You the one looking for street credibility. You the one concerned about your status. Let's just be honest about that. But I liked him because he had a certain brilliance and poise about him. But the crucial change took place. You raised the right question, brother. When he brought in the Wall Street folk, the Reubenites, Larry Summers, and of course we already had a fight with Larry Summers. When he came to Harvard, he met with every head of the department rather than Afro-American Studies. And Skip said, how come he skipped over us? I said, don't look like he got too much respect for us. And then within the next month, he brings me in and trashes me for hanging out with Al Sharpton, putting out a hip-hop album. I said, brother, I am the man you think you are. I'm as much Harvard as you. What are you talking about? You got the
Yes.
wrong Negro up in here. If
Hey,
I want to work with the ballet, if I want to work with classical music, if I
That's
want
it.
to work with hip hop, I do I'm a free man. I've been trained here like everybody else, and I'm as free as you are, even more. So we had to be in
Yes.
class. But then you turn to the book.
Right.
What does Brother Barack say? Well, Larry Summers doesn't do things out of malice. He does it because it's just oblivious. Like he's too smart to be nice. I say, don't rationalize this brother's gangster behavior.
Come on
What are
now.
you talking about?
hey,
And
Dr.
what
West.
was it about Guyton? What was it about Summers and others? They were extensions of Wall Street interests.
That's it.
That's why when he
that's it.
had the meeting in March of 2009, he sat there with 13 Wall Street folk, and what did he say? He said, I stand between you and the pitchfork. I want you to know I am on your side. I will protect you. No, that's what you say to poor people. That's what
Right.
you say to black people. That's what you say to working people. I'm on your side. I will protect you. That's what it is to follow Jesus into the temple and run out the money changers. Money changers don't need protection. They don't need rationalization. They don't need black people rationalizing them when they've been crushing black people for 400 years. What kind of human being are you? What kind of spine you really got? What kind of backbone you got, brother?
Brother.
Hey, Dr.
My brother, and he's a magnificent father. He got wonderful.
Yeah.
Dr. West, I got a question for you, Dr. West.
So but everybody got to be measured by a moral and spiritual criteria.
That's it. That's it.
All
Dr.
of
West.
us in some sense fail, but we ain't gonna be living a lie. And when you live in a lie and people are looking to you as the model, you end up reproducing the worst in them because all they want is just the spectacle and no spiritual substance.
That's
all
it.
they want is a status and no serious courage. And that's what we end up doing. You got a whole generation looking to him. I remember I used to see young brothers and sisters with a shirt on, Malcolm, Martin, and Obama. This is a Keith Sweat moment. Something just ain't right.
He said it's a Keith Sweat moment.
This ain't right. They don't belong on the same shirt.
He said it's a Keith Sweat moment.
They don't belong on the same shirt.
They don't belong on the.
People say, well, you trashing Obama. I'm not trashing Obama. He was a particular kind of politician, but as a politician, you can't pose as if you're speaking the truth and bearing justice. And the same was true with the drones. When he brought in Brennan had been supporting state-sponsored terrorism for many, many years, supporting torturing. What did he do with the tortures? Let the torturers go. Oh, so the Wall Street gangsters, none of them go to jail, and yet brothers and sisters on the block going to jail like I don't know what for little crack bags and marijuana and everything else. And then at the same time, the torturers don't go to jail.
Exactly.
And then you expanding the drones. I had called George Bush a war criminal when he had 45 drones that had killed 118 people. Brother Obama got 563 drones, killed thousands of people and children and women. Those are war crimes. Those are war crimes. In the name of Jesus, they war crimes. They ain't got nothing to do with just me.
Well, we got to have church in here. Yeah, keep like.
True, they got to do with the vision and the fire in me. I can't.
Yeah.
How can you not tell the truth when people are getting killed like that?
Right.
A baby in Yemen, a baby in Pakistan, a baby in Somalia got the same value as those white babies in Connecticut you were crying about. They got the same value as a black baby, same value as an indigenous baby, same value as a baby in Ethiopia, anywhere else. I learned that in Vacation Bible School.
Come on,
Jesus loved the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. They are precious in his sight. That's not just cliche.
Yes, sir.
That's something to live. And if you take that seriously, then it means that you got to quit killing folk.
That's it.
Hey, Dr. West, I got a question for you, sir. So first, just two things. If you got some good stuff to say about Barack Obama, that's the first question. Do you got? And then it's the second question also. Last week you watched our Barack Obama episode.
Yeah, that was strong. That was strong. Obama. That was strong.
See, hey, Trap Squad, somebody does like us. So
And you were mainly talking about Brother Skip, you see.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess
Skip in the house. You know, I'm living in the same house as Skip was living in at that time.
Really?
Well, I hope you don't have the same interaction with the same wake up.
Right now, I'm in that pad right now.
Oh man!
Wow. Okay, so Dr. West, number one, like, if you could try to name off a couple things that you like about the brother Barack, and number two, like we said last week, you weren't in the conversation with us, but the timing of Barack's statements last week when it comes down to defund the police and he's not in the streets, and also him, you know, as Mondale pointed out last week, him working with telling the Bucks and the basketball players to stop protesting, right? So
bring LeBron in like that. Jesus Christ. This was a moment for a massive strike, massive boycott, send a message all around the country and the world, and you come in and deodorize that kind of funk, sanitize that kind of action.
So give me three things you can say that's great about Barack Obama.
Oh, I mentioned before, I think he's a magnificent father. It's a beautiful thing to see him with his daughters. Very much so. One of the daughters are here at Harvard. She's magnificent. And I think that he and Michelle have a wonderful relationship from what I could see. That's a beautiful thing to see. There's no doubt about that. That's number two. You said you got three of them?
Yeah, one more. I said five.
You called him brilliant. You called him brilliant already.
That's right. He's brilliant. He got poise. You know what I mean? But the problem is, you see, when you got that Manchurian-like quality that allows you to be used by powers that be, which means if you don't have enough backbone, if you're always looking for the yellow line in the middle, you're going to end up actually being unable to use the gifts that God has given you to be a great servant that you can be. Because the people know you're always looking for the middle, for the central, for the some kind of premature compromise. I mean, I used to say about Brother Barack Obama, he likes to punt on second down. You see, you don't punt on second down in football. You punt on
dog. Wow. That almost slid right past me. I almost missed that one. God.
You punt on, that's what he did with healthcare, right? He punted on the second down. He sit down there and meet with big pharmaceutical companies, big private insurance companies, and don't push all four downs to see how go as far as you can go, and then you tell the people, I fought for you. I did what I can do. This is the best I can come up with. But when you punt on the second down, people already know that you flimsy, or you got the moral flabbiness. That's the word that the great Sinclair Drake uses in Black Metropolis. The moral flabbiness. We got too many leaders who are morally flabby in that sense. They don't have no backbone. They don't want to stand up for the people. They will stand up for Wall Street. They'll stand up for the Pentagon. They'll stand up for Israeli occupation of Palestinians, but they won't stand up for their own people. You see, there's something pathological about that in the spiritual sense. You see what I mean? And we just have to call that for what it is. But to go on, it looks like Barack Obama can play some serious basketball.
That's number 4. Is that number 4?
That's cool. That's cool.
Dr. West, just because you got a set jumping on me, you can play basketball. You still got to pass the rock. Maybe he's a good one-on-one player. I mean, that's what his policies look like anyway. Listen, we have our fair share of critiques for Obama, and I think that we owe it to ourselves and our history to do that, because if not, we'll have a fake history and a fake understanding for the next president that may look like us if that happens in our lifetime, or if it doesn't. I mean, history needs to document folk screaming about the wrongs of Barack Obama. What say you about a man who so easily? I mean, we know the place of the black church, and I have no problem with any church, but there's a real church, like I'm talking about in the protest strategy. I tell people all the time, black Christianity and white Christianity might be different denominations. And the protest of the black church is what Reverend Jeremiah represents. So for Barack Obama to turn his back on him, because I was like Ben too. I kind of gave him a pass on that, and I was upset with you early when you came out. So I won't be.
You used to work for the man. That's why.
No. No, I ain't work for him. I never took a check from the Democratic Party, my friend. Ever.
But that's the joke. That's the joke that Marcus told me. I'm just repeating the joke that I heard. Marcus sitting here quiet, knowing he don't want
why you bringing me into this? I'm over here sitting quietly innocent. He's trying to start. Dr. West. He's trying to start beef between me and Mondale.
I ain't trying to start no beef. I'm just trying to give context. Go ahead, Marcus. Mondale.
It's fine to mention the joke. Let's make sure people know it's an LOL at the end.
It is a joke. It is a joke. Go ahead.
But yeah. So let's talk about the black church. Let's talk about James Cone and Barack Obama. Not to me, Barack Obama's Christianity doesn't seem like it comes from the cross and the lynching tree. So can we talk about the importance of understanding Christ in that context and how it might be missing in his entire understanding? And I credit it to him loving his white grandparents and not having that natural skepticism of whiteness that we do. I don't have a built-in trust for white people. I had to learn to trust some of them, but not all of them because the way I was raised and what America has done to me. So just talk to me.
I was looking for my book on Jim Cone because he's one of the great towering theologians of the 20th, 21st century. But he himself is part of the prophetic tradition of the black church. Now, when you look at the history of black people, look at it this way, when I was coming along on the chocolate side of Sacramento, Shiloh Baptist Church, we were told every other week, if the kingdom of God is within you, then everywhere you go, you ought to leave a little heaven behind. And all black people have had, for the most part, is our heaven behind leaving capacity. Grandmama left some heaven behind in us. Mama and daddy left some heaven behind. Heaven takes a lot of different forms. There's Socratic heavens. You learn how to think for yourself. You see. There's a more Jesus-centered heaven when you learn how to love your neighbor and even your enemy, you see. And the black church has been the institutional site where black people gain some access to some heaven. It could be in the song. It could be in the preacher's voice. It could be in the style that the ushers walk in their uniform. It could be in the touch of the deaconess, of the little girl who comes to believe in herself. And I'm talking about this, my autobiography. That's where Aretha comes from. That's where Marvin Gaye comes from. That's where Donny Hathaway comes from.
That's it.
That's where Gladys Knight comes from. That's where Coltrane comes from. All that beauty, all that truth, all that justice. Now, our Muslim brothers and sisters, they got their own versions of that too. Our black Jewish brothers and sisters, they got that version of that too. But the black church was the dominant institutional site. Now, as many people moved through the black church, many began to reject certain beliefs of the black church. Of course, you don't have to have cognitive commitment to the dogma to be influenced by the spiritual richness and the cultural depths of the church.
Right.
But the problem has been, just like in any other sphere of a predatory capitalist civilization, that everybody's up for sale, everything is up for sale. So the church got up for sale.
Yeah.
So that the pastor became a CEO, the choir became a praise team, and it became more about status and money than it did about service and sacrifice to the least of these, service to the most vulnerable in that way. So in a commodified culture, you get commodified religion. And that's what you basically got in the last 50 years. When I read God Is Not a Republican, I appreciate that, brother. That's about 8 years ago. I appreciated that book. Absolutely.
You read my book?
Lord, yeah. 2012 when it came out, man. That was serious.
You got to forgive me, Dr. West.
Complacent. We're not going to be complicitous. We got a conception of God that's not reducible to all of this right-wing, commodified.
Now, Marcus, hang on.
We're never going to have talk him down from that tree.
You never gonna live that down.
Never coming back down.
No, let me tell you something. Dr. West read my book when it came out in 2012. Hot damn, I'm somebody. I feel like Jesse Jackson this morning. I am somebody. You are somebody. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, Ben Dixon got his book read by Dr. Cornel West. To that end, then, Professor West. Okay, I'm sorry. No. Everybody in the chat room, do me a favor. If you're not driving, hit that like button. We don't want you to swerve or take any risk while you're driving. Keep the phone out of your hands. But we have Professor Cornel West on our episode this morning, and so we need to have as many likes as we have people watching. We have over 1,000. We'll have over 1,200 people watching on Facebook and YouTube alone. And so we want you to participate by hitting that like button.